Good morning. That's right, good morning, Newark. My name is Sherry Ann Butterfield, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Social Impact here at NJPAC. I am positively thrilled to welcome you all to the opening of NJPAC's redesigned front yard, otherwise known as Chambers Plaza, and Essex County Green. So let's hear for both Chambers Plaza and Essex County Green. It may be cloudy and rainy outside, but in here it is sunshine all day. This beautifully designed plaza will allow NJPAC and our partners, many who are in this room right now, so thank you all for being here, to more predictably curate programs that will bring our community together, because after all, that is why we do what we do. We'll bring it for concerts, poetry readings. Where are my poets? Film screening, dance classes. Where are my dancers? Open mics, social gatherings, and so much more. To kick off today's event and the season of our outdoor programming to come, we will begin with a special student performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Not yet. I know we love the song, but give me 2 seconds. Lift Every Voice and Sing, often referred to as the Black National Anthem, is celebrating its 125th anniversary this year. And that is what we're clapping for. It was written in 1900 and first performed by 500 school children in Florida. And so to honor that, today we have brought you some other children and not so children. So we're excited to welcome students from First Avenue Elementary School here in Newark. And Cicely Tyson High School in East Orange to perform the song today. So County Exec, this is an Essex County party. For those eager to learn more about this inspiring song of resilience, its history in the civil rights movement, and more, we put together a resource and information guide for in-school residencies, which you can find at the check-in table. Please read, because you think you know, but you really don't. It is important to note that today's performance is made possible thanks to the dedicated teachers and artists who learn to project, who have guided and inspired our young performers. NJPAC's Arts Education Department held in-school residencies led by Ms. Cheryl Warfield. Cheryl, could you please stand and be recognized? Ms. Warfield is a longtime teaching artist, and we want to thank her for her service for us always and with us. And she did it at both First Avenue Elementary School and at where students not only learn the song and rehearse the performance, but they also study the history of the anthem. Education is key. In addition, several programs in arts education here at NJPAC also contributed to this performance. Our Backstage Pathway students recorded the audio accompaniment featuring our TD Jazz for Teens students, which supports the combined choirs today. So let's please give it up for both of those groups as well. So as with so many things we do, it is certainly a youth-driven endeavor affair today. We also want to extend a special thank you to teachers, they're music educators, and we'd also like to thank Ms. Chance Barnes from Cicely Tyson. Also for her leadership as well. I'm also grateful members to the NJPAC Arts Education staff. They do amazing work every day as a group, but I especially want to call out the ones who are responsible for today. Patricio, Mark, Alonzo, Kendall, Treasure, Rosa, Vicky. Acknowledge a very special occasion. Miss Sue Ann Carlos of First Avenue School, please stand and be recognized. Ms. Carlos retires this year after more than 25 years of excellence in music education. Ms. Carlos has served generations of students in Newark, built award-winning programs, and leaves a lasting legacy in the city. Ms. Carlos, your legacy lives on in the hundreds of students that you have educated, nurtured, believed in, and loved for more than 2 decades. And your legacy also lives on in the ones not yet born, because we are all your legacy. Today, Newark thanks you and wishes you a joy-filled and well-deserved retirement. So thank you again. And now I ask that you all please rise as we sing Little.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you, young people. You were spectacular. And, and now they have to go back to school. So, at least they got a little time off this morning. Good morning, folks. My name is John Schreiber. I'm the CEO of the Arts Center, and I am delighted to welcome you to the official reopening of Chambers Plaza and the unveiling of the new Essex County Green right over there. We are indoors this morning, thanks to the National Weather Service, accurately predicting Jesus. I'm sure that this sound issue will get corrected, but if it doesn't, I promise to shout. So we're indoors this morning thanks to the National Weather Service accurately predicting 2 days ago that it would rain this morning. This is clearly one federal agency that has not been doged yet, and we are all the better for it. I want to acknowledge first the passing last Sunday of a force of nature, and that's Mayor Sharp James. He served as our mayor for 20 years, longer than anyone. He was passionate, productive, controversial, and committed always to the revitalization of Newark. His leadership and advocacy helped make NJPAC, the Prudential Center, and so much else possible for our community. Let's take a brief moment of silence in memory of this one-of-a-kind changemaker. Thank you for that. I don't think I need to remind you that we are on sacred space, land previously occupied by Trinity Cemetery. The plaque that was here commemorating that history is made of glass, and so during construction we're protecting it. It'll be placed near the actual burial ground when the new campus opens in 2027. And according to my friend and neighbor from across the street, the great Newark historian, Linda Caldwell Epps. Linda, are you here? I think, there you are. Hi, Linda. The life of Trinity Cemetery extended from about 1810 to the end of the 19th century. Many of the graves were relocated on at least 3 occasions to various cemeteries in the city and beyond. And contrary to popular belief, this was not strictly an African burial ground. It served as a resting place for worshipers at Trinity Church, which was a multiracial, multi-ethnic congregation. And 2 Saturdays ago, right outside this window, next to Essex County Green, we unveiled a marker honoring Cujo Banquante, a Ghanaian enslaved Revolutionary War soldier who served in General Washington's regiment and was freed and given an acre of land at the conclusion of the War for Independence. Cujo became a much respected businessman and citizen of Newark and served Trinity until his death at age 104. And we are pleased to have a permanent marker to honor his life in this new public space. Thank you, Linda, for your leadership in making that happen. And for the really remarkable week's worth of programs, panels, and commemorations of Cujo's life. It was a great week here in Newark. This morning's student performance is just one of the many different types of events we'll host on Chambers Plaza and Essex County Green in the months and the years to come. Sherry Ann gave you a sense of the types of activities that we'll be offering. If any of you have any ideas for free community events that we might curate on this campus, we are all ears. So thank you for thinking of that. And at the end, I think Deputy Mayor Ladd will tell you about an exciting new free transportation pilot launching soon to get folks from the neighborhoods in each ward downtown on the weekends to enjoy events in our arts and education district, like the ones here and at Express Newark, the Newark Museum of Art, Lincoln Park, the Newark Public Library, and Symphony Hall. I want to thank Joe D. and all of the Essex County officials who granted us the $5 million that gave us a huge head start on this $10 million transformation of Chambers Plaza. Thank you, Joe. The plaza was re-architected with a collaborative collective of designers and engineers and construction pros who I want to thank. First, Future Green for the beautiful and open design, specifically David Sider and Stefan Molinaro, who are here. Thank you both. Also, to Langen Engineering, specifically John DiGiacinto and Brian Wild. Turner Construction, especially Andrea Diaz-Gonzalez. Andrea has been the project manager for the plaza and redesign and has done an excellent job. And I am told that her mom is here. Is her mom here? There she is. Stand up, Mom. Take a bow. Good work, Mom. Absolutely. Great. Also, LMXD, specifically David Dishy, Sam Chapin, Enzo Sinopoli, who helped run this project. And I want to thank our NJPAC team. Our construction and all our work in real estate is led by somebody who I think the world of, and that is Tim Lazar. He's standing right over there. And Tim is supported by a lot of really excellent professionals: Chad Spies, Chris Moses, Anthony Rasta, Todd Tantillo, Chelsea Keys, Trish Ryan, and of course, I am grateful on a daily basis to our EVP and executive producer and our man for all seasons, David Rodriguez. Is he here? He left. He went back to work. Okay, all right. Fair enough. All right. We master planned this campus with the help of Prudential over 6 years of work, and this new Chambers Plaza will be a nucleus of this vibrant arts-infused neighborhood with the Koopman Center across the catty corner on parking lot C. That'll open in January of 2027. And Artside, developed by LMXD with MCI Collective, led by Suri Morris, will be complete by fall of 2027. So here are some facts. 200,000 new bricks have been laid across this plaza. I have seen this bricklaying out my office window, and man, this is piecework. I mean, it just every day, that hasn't changed over centuries, I think, laying brick. We have 2 to 3 times the amount of usable space to house outdoor events than the original design of the plaza, and 5,000 plants, trees, shrubs, and grasses have already been planted, 85% of which are native to New Jersey. And in the fall, we're going to plant another 2,400 bulbs. So this is going to be verdant, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be open and accessible to everybody. And now for the thing that may be on some of our more venerable supporters' minds, your named bricks. Yes, we will be installing the replacement named bricks in the next phase as we renovate this east wing of the Arts Center. We have a list of some 8,600 names, thanks to our volunteers who literally transcribed every single name. And so they'll be reprinted and installed. Your bricks will be back. And of course, you can buy more bricks. Okay, so no problem. Happy to do it. That said, Mayor Baraka was intended to join us today. Mayor Baraka has been very busy of late, as you know, defending democracy and running for governor. Yeah. So while we will miss him, representing him is somebody that we at the Arts Center have come to cherish. She is the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development, Allison Ladd.
Well, good morning, everyone. And we're always glad when you're here in Newark. And even more excited when we're here at the NJPAC, because this is really a gem and a jewel of not only our city of Newark, but also our county of Essex and the great state of New Jersey. And so really it is my honor as the Deputy Mayor for Economic and Housing Development for Mayor Raj J. Baraka here in the city of Newark to greet you this morning. as we get started, as we know, this marks a milestone in our Newark Arts and Education District. And the reopening of the reimagined front yard, Chambers Plaza, is definitely something to be celebrated. So I know the mayor wishes he was here, and he is here in spirit. And we also have our wonderful, beautiful leading First Lady, Linda Baraka. And I know wherever she goes, he is there. And so always great to see you, First Lady. And also, there are so many other wonderful dignitaries that are here on the stage that you'll hear from soon. And so thank you to Senator Ruiz, County Executive DiVincenzo, Ray Chambers, the developers, the funders, and the community. Because when you collaborate the way the NJPAC does, we can see magic happen. And it's really great to see everyone leading and collaborating here in Newark. I also wanted to acknowledge a few of our local leaders that are here and who also helped to ensure that projects like not only Chambers Plaza, but the $336 million project on the parking lot A comes to fruition. So I know Congresswoman and former Council President LaMonica McIver was instrumental. I see our Council President Larry Crump is present. I know our business administrator, Eric Pennington, has his hands on everything, including making sure this project makes it through the Department of Engineering, the Department of Water Sewer, the Department of Law, the Economic and Housing Department. He has to make sure we are all on point and moving in the same direction as our mayor Baraka, would ask us to move forward. And I'd also like to know if Victoria Walker is in the room. Victoria! So if you don't know Victoria, I encourage you to get to know her. She is one of our shining stars in our city, and she has been doing incredible work leading the mayor's effort on our arts and education district. So Victoria, you are celebrated today, and it's so good to see you here. So Mayor Baraka has said about this wonderful day that the new Chambers Plaza is another bright spot in our city's vibrant downtown arts and education district. Facilities like this one that gives us all a place to come together, that offers performances and celebrations, are accessible to everyone, are what make Newark such a wonderful city to live, work, and play. So I'll end by telling you, we know that transformative projects start with a visionary, and I want to give special acknowledgement to John Schreiber, whose vision and leadership is unmatched. So I hope you all join me with this summer when we're all here at Sounds of the City. So come back to Newark, and really thank you on behalf of Mayor Baraka. We're glad to see you today, and congratulations.
I hope there's an audio recording of that, the part where they said I was a visionary and all that stuff. My wife, I want to just that part. That's the only part I want to like. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I am now happy to welcome the visionary business leader and philanthropist, Ray Chambers, to give a proper introduction to the county executive. Now, along with Governor Kane and Larry Goldman, who is right there, happy to have you back, and Mayor James, Ray's passion and brilliance was key to making the dream of NJPAC a reality. NJPAC would not have come true without you, Ray, and thank you for sticking with us over a generation of service. Please come up and say a few words about our friend Joe D.
Thank you and good morning. When the deputy mayor was naming all the luminaries to thank, the 10 years I spent as the UN Special Envoy for Malaria, we'd show up at a meeting and there would be presidents, prime ministers, UN representatives and ambassadors, and somebody figured out a shortcut, and they just stood up and said, all protocols observed. So we can do that now in Essex County and Newark. I wanted to add my thoughts about Mayor James. He was such a great cheerleader, spark plug for the center, for the Prudential Center, and for so many other things in Newark. He got involved in our Ready program with Christine, Barbara, and me. And as John said, he was a force of nature, a force for good. And since we've already observed a moment of silence for Mayor James, how about a standing ovation? Yeah. If you recall, he used to loved to go on vacation to where the sun was, and he'd come back and said, "How do you like my tan?" And I said, "I can't tell." In any event, we're here. We're so grateful, our whole family, Christine, Patty and Mike Kofilin and Suzanne Spiro and Barbara, for the renovated Chambers Plaza. It was beautiful before, but now it really looks fantastic, and we are going to enjoy many occasions there. The generosity, the spirit of commitment to Newark of Joe DiVincenzo. Now everybody calls him Joe D. He's become like Oprah, The Weeknd. Don't get too carried away, but Patty and I were at a dinner the night before last, and it was a big Robin Hood Foundation where they raised $71 million in one night, and the entertainment was The Weeknd. So most people there didn't know. In any event, Jody and I have been friends for over 50 years, and so it's a pleasure to thank him for his generosity, together with Senator Teresa Ruiz, and I see Phil Elijah and other people from Essex County. Without their generous gift, we would not see a shining, new, stunning Chambers Plaza. So I'm introducing Joe, but let's thank him and his team now. So over the years, I've had the privilege to work with Joe on his reimagination of the parks of Essex County and so many other things. And he's been an indefatigable, loyal partner for all this time and all the work we've done as the Chambers family. And Chambers Plaza is for the Chambers family, not for me. But Joe was so significant in his reimagination of all the parks in Essex County that we're proud of what we see, the aesthetics, the green of Essex County and Newark because of Joe D. And two of my favorite parks are Branchbrook Park and Westside Park, where I grew up in the West Ward. And Joe has done an incredible job on those parks. And last week, we were celebrating the dedication of a cherry grove to my wife, Patricia Chambers, that Joe and Teresa and Phil and Dan Salvanti had arranged. And we were all commenting how magnificent it was. And there weren't any cherry blossoms in bloom. And when they come out, it's just incredible. And Governor Kane was there, and he said to me, in my opinion, Joe D. has done more for parks and open spaces in our country than any other elected official. And as we're going through the budget process for the United States and the Republicans and the Democrats and the Republicans, the biggest issue facing our country, as evidenced by both Democrats and Republicans, is our inability to balance the budget. We've got the deficit that's north of $30 trillion, and it's becoming so much weight that it's tipping us over. Contrast to what Joe D. has done with the fiscal budget of Essex County. Since he took over that role in the year 2000, there's not been one number, one line of red ink. It's been balanced, it has a surplus, even got the giraffes at Turtleback Zoo to become a profit center. It's just amazing. And I said to Joe and about Joe before, you know, the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, could use Joe's input and advice. He could straighten out the tariff situation, the balance of trade, and, you know, Joe has, and that's a very serious issue, even though we kid about it. If we don't get it straightened out at the federal level, at the state level, we need to blossom what Joe has done at the county level. And it's been said that Joe always balances the books one way or another. But with great delight, I'd like to introduce a great friend of Newark, a great friend of NJPAC, and a great friend of mine, Joe D.
First of all, I think John made a mistake. I was supposed to introduce you, right? For you to introduce me, that's going to go in one of my books. But thank you very, very much. You know, and when you were talking about me, it hasn't been my team. It's been my team the last 24 years that really, I think, made a difference in this county. So I thank them. You know, I was born and raised in this city of Newark, and no matter where I go, I tell people how much I love Newark, because I'll always be a Newarker no matter where I go. And Newark is the best city in the state of New Jersey, maybe in the country. You know, everybody talks about this place, New Jersey PAC. We talk about the Prudential Arena. Just think for 1 second, if neither facility was here, where would Newark be at this time? It's only because of the leaders, Ray Chambers, Art Ryan, Mayor Kane, Governor Kane, and also Mayor Sharp James, because I was there when he was trying to fight for money from the Port Authority and from the city. But because of those individuals, they did this. And Newark now, with the leadership under the Mayor Ras Baraka, is moving forward. And it's been moving forward ever since this place was up, the New Jersey PAC and the Prudential. We get hundreds of thousands of people that come through here that would never, ever come through here if we didn't have this facility. And it helps it helps economic development, okay? And it just makes all this possible. Look at the development the New Jersey and the PAC does right around us. It's unbelievable. And look what the development's being done throughout the city of Newark. I couldn't be more proud. So, Ray, thank you for everything you've done. Now, they talk about this big donation. Larry Goldman, when he was the executive director, he was trying to get a lot of money from me. And at that time, I just became the county we didn't have any money to do. But Larry was special. Larry was here from the beginning, and he had to fight for every dollar to help build this beautiful facility. But I like this guy better, John. John just does it in a nice way. He comes to the office, I have Teresa, I have Phil Elijah, I have my whole team there, and he just does it nice. And he says, "This is what I'm going to do in front of New Jersey PAC. We're going to the Chamber Plaza, and now we're going to have the Essex County Green." I said, "What are you talking about? You see where it says Essex County Green? Is that synthetic turf or what?" But John is somebody very, very special. He believes in his place, and he has a great team too. But Newark is on the move because of the individuals I said and the new leadership in the city of Newark. And we're always going to work together to make Newark what it is and what it should be. Thank you.
I don't know if any of you are students of history. I'm an amateur historian, and I've read a lot about Robert Moses, and there was a good Robert Moses that lasted for about 20 years, and he created so many parks all throughout the 5 boroughs of Manhattan, and then he kind of took a left and, became a dictator. When I think about what Joe D. has accomplished, Robert Moses, I think, too soon? I don't know. Joe D. is our Robert Moses in the best way possible because he cares so deeply about parks, and he understands and is so intentional about making parks beautiful and making them available to all of us in communities. So thank you again for that, and I know you will keep up that good work. So thank you. So I am happy now to introduce somebody every Newarker is proud of, Senator M. Teresa Ruiz. She is our Senate Majority Leader. She made history in 2007 as the first Puerto Rican elected to the New Jersey Senate and the highest ranking Latina legislator in the state's history. Yes. Here at NJPAC, we love her for her fierce commitment to education opportunities for our children, expanding access to early childhood education, improving school meal programs, increasing diversity in school curricula, and supporting teacher diversity initiatives, among so many other things. And that said, I think her favorite job and her greatest accomplishment is being an awesome mom to her 8-year-old daughter, Silver. Senator Ruiz, come on up.
I love John, but instead of Robert Moses, let's think of the county executive as Olmsted instead. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the greatest city. I think it was said before, but I'm going to champion it again. Welcome to the greatest city this Garden State has ever seen. My hometown, the majority of your hometown. I want you to think about the 2 schools that performed here this morning, Cicely Tyson and First Avenue. One hails from East Orange and the other from the North Ward of Newark. And I asked and said, did they come together and practice at any point in time? They said they did it independently and then they came together. But you think about the fusion and the seamlessness of their performance, and you look at the announcement today, that's precisely exactly what we are amplifying in the city. A seamless transition of the renaissance of a city that was always the mecca of arts and cultural, epicenter for the state, if not the country. A collective consciousness from every level of government that has contributed to this. The Essex County, the state, philanthropic partners, the city, because that is the only way that a public agenda can move forward, bringing every single person that calls this state, this county, and this city their home. That when I think about my predecessor, Sharp James, how honored I am to stand on his shoulders, in his vision, in his seat, that when he argued for the Prudential Center and for this place, he did not realize that people would come after him and create incentive tax programs that quite frankly have stimulated and generated every single project that has come up here in this downtown corridor, and whose name on those laws carry District 29 representatives Spate, Pinter Marin, and Ruiz. And that we do so understanding that sometimes when you have a jewel in your treasure chest and it needs some polish, that everyone doesn't see it the same way, but you know what's there. so that you take it out and you slowly shine every facet of it, and you look at it, and it gets brighter and brighter, and then everybody starts paying attention. The truth is that we have had a collective, and you see many of them here. John Schreiber, the county executive, Miss Ray Chambers, who's, I have to tell you, I've always loved you, but today you showed your Newark really well, and it makes me proud. He was up here, he was like The Weeknd. I was like, and next is going to be Jay-Z. I don't know what else was going to come out of his mouth. But you see individuals who recognize the same way that my dad did when he selected this city to raise his family to create a better tomorrow. You see everyone's story in those spaces. All of us have called the city home at one point in time. It's still my home, and I cannot be prouder, because you see every single day many of us are still shining that stone little by little by little. And what we've always known of the beauty, of the greatness, of the value, the entire country is seeing now. So congratulations to everyone. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the Economic Development Authority for the state. And I know that we have one of the voting members, Phil Elijah, here today, because this has been a collective of everyone who has come to the table. And Joe, it doesn't go unnoticed that amongst all the bricks, right, the greatest green swath of grass was donated by the county executive. If that's epic and so quintessential of his mission in putting Essex County first, I think that would be a great visual for it. If you haven't been here before and this is your first time here, don't believe the hype, believe the truth. I am telling you, we are filled with power, love, opportunity, housing, good schools. Most importantly, we are the greatest city in the state of New Jersey. Congratulations.
I am constantly amazed that Senator Ruiz always speaks noteless. She just speaks from the heart, and it's amazing. I tell you this all the time. It's great. Thank you. I want to thank the EDA as well. The Aspire Transformative Grant of $200 million that we got from EDA some time ago, that's at the heart of our ability to do all of the building that we are doing right now. So thank you, EDA, and thank you for that vote of confidence in our master plan. I want to thank Evan Weiss for being here. Evan Weiss is the visionary and remarkably effective leader of the Newark Alliance. Our city historian, Junius Williams, is here. Thank you for coming, keeping history alive. And a board chair emeritus of the Arts Center and the head of all of our volunteer work in real estate, Steve Goldman, is here. Thank you, Steve. Yes. So you all know this, but I learned the hard way when we were trying to get One Theater Square to the finish line 10 years ago that real estate is a very rough business. So finding the right partner for the development of Artside, 350 residential units, new streets, 16 townhomes, everything that goes with making a new neighborhood a reality, that work demands a great partner. And we are lucky to have that person in David Dishy. He is the CEO and co-founder of LMXD. David is terrific at this work, and he is remarkably kind. If you didn't know better when you first met him, you'd think he might be a pediatrician, or a social worker, or the dean of students at an expensive liberal arts college, But no, he is actually a real estate developer. Who knew? So please welcome our friend David Dishy.
Of course, if my mom had heard that and knew that she had hoped that I would be a doctor, but I'm a lowly real estate developer, so be it. And honestly, in a day where we have honored students and teachers and incredibly inspiring elected officials and extraordinary philanthropists, I acknowledge sort of our role as real estate developers are sort of at the bottom of that list. And we love that. We're okay with that because we love partnering with incredible organizations and inspiring organizations. And NJPAC is truly that. And so John and Kim and Sherry Ann are incredible partners, and we have loved being with them and working with them doggedly. I'm also primarily a cheerleader for Sam Chapin, Kim Bernardin, and Enzo Sinopoli, who have sort of run this job, and Enzo is out there making this happen, and so I salute them. We are incredibly excited to be a part of this. We spend a lot of our time trying to find projects that are infused with culture and community, A, because it's what we love to do, and B, because we think it's incredibly important to creating great places. And this is going to be that. I think, as Ray said before, there was an incredible Chambers Plaza here before. Let's acknowledge that. It's a little bit, people are like, hey, wait a minute, I understand. But in fact, I think the reality is we have the vision that NJPAC had for the space as an incredible gathering space for the city of Newark and Essex County. And that is what it's going to be. And a lot of the work that was done here was to facilitate programming. So while the physical space matters, the extraordinary legacy of what we're celebrating today is going to be all the incredible gatherings that are going to happen. John's promised, 365 days a year, 7 days, 24 hours a day, nonstop activity of all types. And that's going to be the magic. And someday people, when a young person from Newark thinks about NJPAC, yes, they may have been in some of the other stages, but the stage that they're going to think about as most inspiring is going to be this stage right here and the activities that they did in that space. So that is just beautiful, and we are happy to play a small part in helping make that happen. So thank you NJPAC, all of you. We were inspired, and that's it. I'm going to leave now because there's much more exciting poetry about to come. So thank you all. Thank you for having us.
The great poet Rigoberto Gonzalez is here. I want to acknowledge him. Thank you for coming. He actually lives across the street, right, in One Theater Square, so there, home for poets. 365 days a year of programming, that will demand another $5 million from Joe D, so not asking today, but you know. I'm happy to introduce my friend Larry Goldman. He is the happy warrior who was NJPAC's founding CEO. He ran this place for 22 years. Most of you know this, some of you don't. Larry built this place. His extraordinary aesthetic, his meticulous taste, his dedication to our diverse communities, his commitment to arts education, and his unmatched success as a fundraiser made him the right man at the right time to accomplish with Ray and Governor Kane and Mayor James what a lot of people thought was impossible. He is a generous mentor to me, somebody I call on regularly for advice, counsel, and sometimes simply to complain. I'm glad he's here today to introduce Ray, our NJPAC co-founder and co-creator. Larry, please.
Hi. I want to thank David Dishy for not wearing a tie. My assignment this morning is to introduce Ray. But before I do that, I want to say two things. First, about Sharp James. I could tell you 100 stories, but I will just say this. NJPAC, this art center, could have been in Princeton or Morristown or where Route 80 crosses Route 280, which is where a lot of people wanted to put it because car is king in New Jersey, right? And it is because of Sharp James, Ray Chambers, Tom Kane, and Mort Pye, the 35 years editor of Star Ledger, that NJPAC is where it belongs in a city in Newark. There's nothing that Ray cared about more than making children a part of this art center. And before I launch into my encomium about Ray, I want to tell you something that happened over this last weekend. The Frick Museum on Fifth Avenue opened a new concert space, a chamber music space. And guess who the opening artist was? Tyshawn Sorey, a graduate of Jazz for Teens at NJPAC. That's a big deal. So introducing Ray Chambers in Newark is a little bit like introducing Aaron Judge at Yankee Stadium. Except Ray's been hitting over 400 for much longer. All of you know about Ray the legend. I'm not going to spend much time on that. The businessman, the hugely successful businessman, the businessman who retired what many people thought was prematurely because he didn't have dollar signs in his eyes, he had a dream in his heart. And the dream in his heart was to give back to that city that he cared about the most, where he was brought up, Newark. He was head of the Points of Light Foundation. He was, as he said, named Special Envoy by Kofi Annan for malaria to solve that horrible problem, particularly in Africa. He was a special emissary of the World Bank. And Time magazine, when there still was a Time magazine, selected Ray as one of the 100 most influential people, not in New Jersey, not in the United States, but in the world. How about that? One of the 100 top people in the world. But enough of that stuff. I want to talk a little bit about Ray as I know him. You know, there have been other leaders and philanthropists who have made a lot of money. Some of them buy yachts and houses. Some of them support important nonprofit organizations, but these people sometimes just write a check and go home. Some of them take risks. Some of them get involved with their organizations. Some of them climb hills with their organizations. And we love those people, those of us who have spent our lives in the nonprofit world. But Ray didn't just take risks and climb hills. He climbed a mountain. He climbed Mount Everest. Think of the audacity of a world-class art center in Newark, New Jersey, a Lincoln Center West, a Kennedy Center in Newark, an institution that could hold its head high in comparing itself to those august institutions. Most people said, they're nuts. This can't happen. Ray was asked to commit to this, and he did so. And he did so when there was no land, there was no organization, there was no staff, there was no money other than his, there was no team, there was no real definition of the scope or the scale of what this was going to be. There was no real plan, there was no board. The audacity of taking that on, that really takes a certain kind of person, of which there ain't many, folks. He had some allies in this, not that many at the beginning. He had Tom Kean, our patrician-sounding governor. He had a fellow kid from Newark who grew up on the streets of Newark, Sharp James. And he had, as I said earlier, Mort Pye, the editor of the Star-Ledger. This cabal of 4 people managed to figure it out, move it forward, never blink, never hesitate. I could tell you also a lot of stories about how he scaled this mountain, but I'm just going to tell you one. It's about the big guarantee. When Ray hired me, and maybe I should have listed among his skills a sharp eye good for good personnel. When Ray hired me, my first assignment was to oversee the lawyers who were drafting Ray's guarantee that if the state put in $22 million, he would find a way to get $2 million to match it. And we really worked hard on this. You know, he was a businessman. He had really good lawyers. We were thinking of all the out clauses and the conditions and all of that. We never finished the work, but it didn't matter. And here's why it didn't matter. It didn't matter because it was enough, I learned, to say to a state legislator or to another donor or to a corporate leader who was part of their nuts group, Ray has guaranteed this. Ray has guaranteed that the private sector will come up with an equal amount of money. And that's all it took, was his name. Do you know what that is in life? Where you don't need the documentation, you don't need the lawyers, you don't need any of that. Your name was enough. And that was true, Ray. And it made my job much, much easier. It's really perfect that the Chambers family name is going on this plaza. Because this plaza is, you know, we always said that the Art Center was not just going to be in Newark, but of Newark. And this plaza, more than anything else, physically represents where the Art Center and Newark come together. And of course, that was Ray's intent, and you know, much better that his name is there than anywhere else. The importance of this is not just for us in this room. It's not just for John and how lucky I was to, you know, there's so many stories of corporate leaders who can't even talk to their successors. I feel so fortunate that John was here to continue to lift this institution, and he has, and made it even better. But the importance is that it's going to be here for a while. Carnegie Hall is 134 years old. The Philadelphia Academy of Music, 168 years old. Symphony Hall in Boston in October will celebrate its 125th anniversary. There's a permanence about arts institutions that don't apply, I'm sorry, David, necessarily to office buildings or other kinds of built environment. This is going to be here for a while. It's going to be here for our children and our children's children and for their children. It'll be different, and they'll be ripping up plazas and stuff and changing it all around, but I guarantee you it will be here for generations. And I'm so happy that the Chamber's name is so permanently attached to something that is so permanent. Now I want to tell you about the 2 times I've seen Ray most happy. You know, Ray is not just about these beautifully tailored suits that he wears all the time. The first was on opening night. You know, we got there, and the fact that we got there was unbelievable. And he was so happy that night, and I felt so happy for him. And Baraka, I want to make sure that you hear me say, I think you're a hero for what you've done over the last few days. And I hope millions and millions of people follow your lead. So the first time I saw Ray really happy was opening night. The second time was at Christine and Mike's wedding. Now, how many of you can name the music group that Ray played in college? The Accidentals. And at Christine and Mike's wedding, Ray resurrected his group. There he was behind the keyboard, singing an ode to Michael Gilfillan. And he was so fantastically, he was the sixth Beach Boy. So I want to end on a personal note. Ray, everyone's thanked you for the support of the Art Center, and it's been magnificent, and of course I do too. I also want to thank you for the personal support you've given me over the years. I could not have done this without knowing that you were there in my corner. Thank you for laying the foundation of what became my life's work. I don't know how else to say it, but there's nothing that I've done outside of my family that is more important to me than NJPAC, and Ray made that possible. You're generous, you're a humanist, not just a philanthropist, a humanist. You are a damn good boss. I feel fortunate to call you a friend, and I think if none of this had worked out for you, you would have been an excellent Beach Boy.
All protocols observed. Mayor Baraka, I join Larry and all the other people here standing up and applauding for your courage to stand up as you did. Now, we all thought this would be an historic occasion. We didn't realize that it really, for all of you, are going to be part of something that probably is so historic, where the introduction is 3 times longer than what my speech will be. Thanks, Larry. I should have introduced you. But Larry was such a great friend to have at the beginning when we just had a concept and a thought. We were walking around with the noted community developer, Jim Rouse, who helped us cite where the NJPAC should be. And we walked the waterfront over where the arena is now. And we came here where the Military Park Hotel was. And Rouse looked around and said, right here. And we never moved an inch from what he said. So it was a great beginning, and we wouldn't have NJPAC without you, Larry. And thanks for coming today. You know, I'm a true son of Newark. My ancestors landed in Newark over 150 years ago and stayed settled in the West Ward, and my father's family was in the South Ward. And I was born and raised in Newark, went to South 17th Street School, West Side High School, and Rutgers Newark's Business School. And Newark is really in my DNA and in me, and as it was talked about that I wanted to give back to my city of birth. And I think it's been such a wonderful opportunity for my family and me, Christine and Mike and Patty and all of our other family members, including those who came before in the 150 years. But I haven't told this story before, I don't believe. It was in 1962 or 1963, and I was a student at Rutgers Newark, and it was a brisk, sunny Sunday afternoon, and I was standing across the park when I was 19 years old at the corner of Broad Street and New Street. And, you know, Newark was one of the top education places in the world, and in 1955, I believe, Weequahic High School was voted the best high school in the nation. And don't go too far. We want to focus on West Side High School, you know, not, you know. And I was lamenting, and I don't know why that moment or 10 minutes standing on that corner still is so clear and profound in my memory. And I was thinking about growing up in Newark, and my grandmother would come and visit us and take us downtown Newark to shop at Bamberger's or Hanes, Orbach's, and she would wear white gloves because it was a special day in Newark. But with the migration movement that other northeastern cities experienced, it became clear that afternoon that in 1963 or so, this was not the city in which I grew up. Still a great city, different demographics, and it still had that Newark, for me, that Newark vibe, that Newark energy as a musician. Somebody had said in 1953, Junius, that you could go to any one of 1,300 jazz nightclubs in Newark and a weekday night. It was an incredible place, and that still fills me. So that afternoon, standing on the corner looking across Military Park has stayed with me. I don't believe I've told anybody this story. And I was wondering, what could it become once again? And, you know, I didn't think much about it, went back to studying, and I met Patty in 1963, and she was working in Newark at the American Insurance Company. In fact, she was Miss American Insurance Company in 1963. And she could still win the title today. But we would meet for lunch at these gourmet restaurants. There was a fellow who subsequently opened Don's 21, Don Francello. And in those days, he had a small little place on Halsey Street called the Hoagie Hut. And that was our favorite place to go. And he would let us run up a tab, and then we get a summer job and come back and pay off our tabs. Or it was Herbie K's down by Broad and Market, who had the best hamburgers. And you'd wait in line, and you'd get discouraged and you want to leave, and Herbie would come, just 2 more minutes. Well, he said that for a total of 40 minutes. So we have a lot to be thankful for from Newark. And then after being very lucky with business and not, as Larry said, wanting to just make more money, Barbara Bell Coleman, my mentor, introduced me to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Newark, where we served with the inimitable Mildred Crump. And all of a sudden, watching the kids play ping pong and learning from Barbara their respective plights in life, I said we have to do something about it. So with Christine and Patty and our family and Barbara and Charlie Rubin, we agreed to adopt 1,000 children in Newark and pay their tuition through college. And that was called the READY program, if they stayed on the right path. And Mildred Crump was one of the board members of the READY program. And we learned by taking some of these youngsters out, they didn't know which utensils to use, what napkin to place where. And in fact, we took one youngster out to lunch, and the waiter took the napkin and placed it in his lap, and he took it and threw it back at the waiter. So Mildred decided, she and Lois Larkey, that they were going to invite these youngsters over to what I assume was your house at that time and teach them etiquette. And they'd come every Tuesday night or so they teach them, you start with the fork on the left and you move in and you do the same with the spoons, and this is where you put the napkin and it's not offensive. And I think about seeing you here today, what a vibrant person. And it was a team. It wasn't any one individual. We all worked to try and make these children have a chance. And then thinking back to that afternoon, what could we do to bring back the city? And the chance to look at the Performing Arts Center as a concept and envision what it could be like. And as Larry said, nobody was rallying to Governor Kane's side to put up the Capitol, to put a world-class Performing Arts Center in Newark. And I recall meeting with a South Ward community leader, Carolyn Wallace, who said to me that day when I was deciding what should we do, she said, my teenage youngsters are so hopeless, so desperate, they don't care if they live or die. I said, you gotta be kidding me. She said, no, they're that, nothing to hope for. Many things have been promised to them, and it's never happened. And now look at what's happening. The Performing Arts Center is going to go to Parsippany or New Brunswick. And I went home and talked to Patty and Christine that night and said, we can't let that happen. So we made the commitment to the state legislature the next day that the private sector would be there. And it only took us a matter of days before everybody said, this is a great idea. And as you know, it's become a beacon of hope. As I said to Larry, when this opens, every day I want to see a sea of yellow school buses. And he fulfilled it, and John has amplified it. And that's something we should do. And it's become a place that everybody comes to deliver speeches and great events, great celebrities. I don't think they had the weekend. They'd probably go to the Prudential Center for that. So it's been such a privilege for our family to be part of this revitalization of Newark and getting to know so many of the children, so many of you here to work as partners, to work as a team, and to now thinking about going forward, seeing this magnificent plaza. Thanks again for the generosity of County Executive Joe D. and his team. And this has also been a glue that's brought so many people together. We have the most diverse audience of any major performing arts center in the country. And everybody should feel good because one way or another, you are all a part of this. So I'm going to applaud you. And that day 60 years ago when I was lamenting at the intersection of New Street and Broad Street, I realized we'll never bring back the Newark of the old days and when we had 440,000 people, with the leadership, the incredible leadership of Mayor Raz Baraka, the city council, those who in the business community who have stayed with Newark through the Prudential Center, through this building boom that we're having now, where these Shaquille O'Neal and the Barai family have put up a couple of buildings, and many other developers. As I stand here today thinking about that afternoon back in 1963, we can never replicate what Newark was 60 plus years ago. But we have something new. We have something rising. And thanks to all of you and our teamwork, we have our own shining city on the hill. Thank you.
You know, Mark Morial was the mayor of New Orleans for many years, and had dinner with him once. He was a board member here for a while. And I said, what's the most important thing a mayor can do? And he said, show up. And our mayor always shows up under all circumstances, and that is something I am grateful for. I know everybody in this room is grateful for. You are a visionary and effective leader, and now you are a hero, a national hero. You are. And at a time when a lot of us sort of feel helpless and we feel like, what can we do to change the trajectory of the country? You're doing it, and you're doing it in a way that resonates all over the nation. Mayor Baraka, come on, say something, please.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm sure everything was said and done.
Everything's been said.
Right, County Executive, thank you. I mean, this is incredible out here, right? And what's happening here at NJPAC is enormous for so many reasons that under the veil of all of the craziness that we have to deal with every single day, all of the reports of bad news and that's coming from DC and the fear that obviously people are feeling that paralyzes them, even amongst the bad choices that people are making over and over and over again. Here in the city of Newark, we are moving forward anyway. And that's important, right? People are going to get entertainment, going to get joy, going to get culture, going to get diversity and opportunity because of this place. And really, that's why this is so important now in this moment than ever before. I was making a comment yesterday about, the president is attacking all of us, in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, and black folks out here learning line dances, right? And to me, it just means that we're just going to dance our way into freedom, into victory. We're just going to keep smiling and our joy, and going to hold on to our joy. And I think the thing that makes me happy flying back here from New York, because, John made me. And, on the radio, so I got to get back to Newark, I got to go be at this event. But the thing that's on my mind is that I get to celebrate. And that's important. I get to celebrate. I get to put down all of the heaviness and celebrate. And celebrate diversity and opportunity and building and growth and people and all of us together. And listening to Ray talk about the history of his family and his stories here in Newark and all of our families here together is an American story. And despite what these people do, what we're doing here today is proof that America is still moving forward. So God bless you all.
So I want to finish. I want to thank the Chamberses, of course, for a generation of support. And I especially want to thank today Joe D. and all of our friends from Essex County for being the catalyst for this renovation of Chambers Plaza and the inclusion of Essex County Green on a permanent basis on our campus. We are grateful to the county. We're grateful to you, County Executive, for making that possible. And now, since we are a city of poetry, and we are, we now in Newark happily have our own poet laureate, and we're going to... And she is a Dodge poet, and Dodge poetry is all over our city, including Branchburg Park. And she is also one of the leaders of Clinton Hill Community Action, where she works with us regularly on our Arts Exchange program. And not only be a wonderful person, a wonderful poet. Folks, please welcome Newark's first poet laureate, Mia X.
Dear Newark, it's a new day. Good morning, courage. Good morning, light within. Good morning, song. Good morning, confidence. Good morning, security all day long. Good morning, glory. Good morning, grace. Good morning, knowledge. Good morning, face. Good morning, ancestors. Here is a taste of libation. Good morning, plants. Good morning, earth. Good morning, other human beings. Good morning to our worth. Good morning, Umoja. Good morning, unity. Good morning, Kujichagulia, self-determination. Good morning, heritage. Good morning, history. Good morning, laughter. Good morning, meaningful work. Good morning, inner strength. Good morning, truth. Good morning, pulsing legacy. Good morning, richness. Good morning, faith. Good morning, honor. Good morning, values. Good morning, joy. Good morning, clarity. Good morning, peace. Good morning, freedom. Good morning, hope. Good morning, heart. Good morning, change. Good morning, justice. Good morning, love. Good morning, love. Good morning, love. Good morning, wonder. Good morning, prosperity. Good morning, creativity. Good morning, dignity. Did you have a dream? Thank you.
Mia X. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, community. We love you, and we will see you on the plaza. Good morning.